Hudson County View live and uncut, and I'm your host, the guy that'll tell you 2 and 2 makes 3, your favorite cult of personality, John R. Heinis, and of course we're talking the latest and greatest in Hudson County news, and it's been a robust week on the government and politics side of things, as usual. A couple things that I want to highlight first. Out of Hoboken, former Fire Chief Brian Crimmins, in yet another decision from the New Jersey Civil Service Commission, he's supposed to be reinstated within 31 days of a February 26th decision, so that's coming up next week. And if he's not reinstated, the commission is asking for a $100 fine daily against the municipality for up to a $10,000 total fine. So that's an interesting situation. I can't say I've seen one like this. You know, we've talked about this recently, but not in the past probably 2 months or so. So I want to dig into that. Also going to talk a little bit about, speaking of public safety, Jersey City Public Safety Director James Shea received a vote of no confidence from the council last week. Obviously, that's not particularly common either, so we're going to walk you through that and what the implications are. Of course, when Ward A Councilwoman Denise Ridley was here last week, we talked a bit about that, but now it's officially in the books. And also, kind of the Mile Square City, we have some big developments with the Garage B plan. This is a 25-story mixed-use project that would be affordable and workforce housing that actually did not get the support of the planning board by a wide margin, and now a couple of mayoral candidates have weighed in. So a lot of fun stuff there. And we're also going to be sitting down today with Hudson County GOP Executive Director Pavel Sokolov. So we're going to do all that and a whole lot more right after this word from our sponsors.
No one plans on heart disease, but everyone should have a plan for it. We help patients of all lifestyles and medical histories plan for healthy hearts. We offer convenient screenings without judgment, hundreds of preventive programs, and women's heart specialists. And we're the largest cardiac surgery program in New Jersey. Make plans for a healthy heart with RWJ Barnabas Health. Let's be healthy together.
Hudson County View live and uncut, John R. Heinis. So let's talk about what's going on at the Hoboken Fire Department. So Brian Crimmins came back to the department after being placed at some sort of leave for a little while. He came back, and that was, actually it was more than a little while. He placed on administrative leave in May 2021. He returned to work April 23, but as the rank of firefighter. Now, of course, he was the chief for a few years between about late 2018 and the middle of 2021, and there was all these allegations about how, you know, he was mismanaging the department, and the city took it up with the Civil Service Commission, and a administrative law judge basically ruled in Crimmins' favor, but that was non-defining because they still had to have a vote by the New Jersey Civil Service Commission board, which they did in November. It was a unanimous vote that Crimmins needs to be reinstated, and you know, we didn't hear a lot about this for a while, but now it's come to light that at the end of February, like I said a few minutes ago, February 26th, there was another decision after a motion to reconsider was made, and or a request for consideration, if you will, same difference. But and you know, they basically said even with the acting fire chief, that's Anton Peskins, even with him coming in, saying some statements that were obviously not flattering for Crimmins, and also with some battalion chiefs doing the same, albeit all anonymously, the court said, or I should say the Civil Service Commission said that there's no change here. We still stick with our previous decision, with the interesting caveat again that if this does not get taken care of within 31 days of that decision, then he was going to be not only reinstated, but the city will be fined $100 a day for up to $10,000. So, you know, I think that kind of gives a broad summation of what's going on. Again, this has been ongoing for a while. And the end of the decision says, Hoboken shall make a good faith effort to fully comply with this and the Commission's prior decision within 30 days of this decision. In the event that Hoboken fails to make a good faith effort to comply with this order within the prescribed time frame, the Commission orders that a fine be assessed against it in the amount of $100 per day, beginning on the 31st day from the issuance of this decision and continuing for each day of continued violation for a maximum of $10,000. And I reached out to Hoboken Public Safety spokeswoman Marcy Rubin. They said they don't comment on personnel decisions. So remains a mystery as to why Crimmins still hasn't been reinstated, but it looks like we're reaching the end of the line. However, the decision did mention that the city is considering going to the appellate court Not really sure why that would change anything, but let's see what happens. We're going to keep a close eye on this as we have for the past few months. So again, as I also said at the top of the program, we're talking public safety. We also got to talk about last Wednesday, Jersey City Council voting for a vote of no confidence for Public Safety Director James Shea. So some people were a little surprised about this. And again, our guest from last week, Ward 8 Councilwoman Denise Ridley, shed some light on this. And, she seemed a little uncertain at that time because the vote of no confidence doesn't actually have any repercussions. It's basically just a public shaming, for lack of a better phrase. And I say that because, there's no suspension, there's no, loss of vacation time, there's no monetary fine. It's just, hey, we think you're doing a bad job and we're going to vote on this, and that's kind of the end of it. And the only other thing that any governing body under this Faulkner Act could really do is vote to remove a director, and that's extremely uncommon here in New Jersey, not just Hudson. But who knows if we're going to get to that point. But last week, we did see a 6-1-2 vote for a vote of no confidence against Director Shea, who's been in that post since very early in the Fulop administration, probably about the end of the third, beginning of the fourth quarter in 2013. So, there's a lot to unpack here. But, I think a very good summation came from Hudson County Anti-Violence Coalition Executive Director Pam Johnson. She's also running for a Ward 8 council seat on Hudson County Commissioner Bill O'Day's ticket. So she said, I also want to lift up the voices of the residents who have demanded Director Shea's resignation over the years, folks who have spoken on the record at press conferences, the city council, and community meetings for many years expressing their disappointment with his leadership. As residents, we were frustrated then and we're infuriated now to find out that Director Shea may not have been confirmed in 2021 and should not even be the public safety director is troubling. If you guys remember at the 2021 reorganization meeting, there was no vote on any of the directors, which is a little atypical. Typically every mayoral term, the council will vote again. But that didn't happen this time. Nobody challenged it in court or elsewhere. And, the beat went on, but that was an interesting comment for that reason. And ultimately, the vote, again, as I said, was 6-1-2. The only person who voted no was Councilwoman at Large Amy DeGees, while Ward B, Councilwoman Mira Prince-Aire, and Ward D, Councilman Youssef Saleh abstained. They basically said that since this is more of a symbolic gesture, we feel like we should be voting on removal, not just basically some sort of in-between kind of step. So, keep an eye on what happens next. Maybe they will put something up for removal at the next meeting. Maybe they won't, but there's only one way to find out. So we're going to, again, keep our attention on that. And then when we're talking about the Garage B situation, a lot of people didn't even know there was a planning board meeting on Monday. Frankly, I didn't till about mid-afternoon, but they had a consistency hearing, which basically they look at these projects and they review if they mesh with the vision of the city's master plan. And we saw a pretty overwhelming vote. It was 7-1. The only person who voted against it in this case was the mayor's designee on the board. That's Commissioner Greg Francesi. And that was an interesting vote that, again, most people didn't even know were happening. One commissioner, Joan Allman, said, it seems out of context and non-harmonious and does not seem consistent. This is a single property without giving a planning idea for those surrounding properties. And Council President Jim Doyle, who's also a planning commissioner, said due to the scale, it's inconsistent, and that's what the board voted. And there's been some fallout for that we're going to get into a little later. But before that, we're going to take a break, and when we sit back down, I'm going to be with Hudson County GOP Executive Director Pavel Sokolov.
Consumer Carpets, 3408 Kennedy Boulevard in the Jersey City Heights, your one-stop store for residential and commercial floor treatments, carpeting, linoleum, tiles, laminates, hardwood floors, area rugs, remnants, all major brands, all in stock. Free estimates, same-day installation. Consumer Carpets, it's savings, selection, installation. Credit cards and debit cards accepted. Financing available. Consumer Carpets, price to fit your budget, installation to fit your schedule. On the net at consumercarpets.com. Consumer Carpets, Jersey City, 201-792-2712.
Hannah Pinto Properties, Jersey City, shaping the workplace with state-of-the-art office spaces and addresses your company desires. Building residences that define your home environment, adjacent to all modes of transportation with on-site parking available. The right address, the right lease. Call 201-521-9000 or visit online at hannahpintodevelopment.com. Panepinto Properties, building Jersey City for everyone.
Hudson County View live on a cut. John Heinis, and as I said, today my guest is Hudson County GOP Executive Director Pavel Sokolov. Pavel, good to have you.
Thank you for inviting me, John. Always a pleasure.
All right, thanks. So, of course, the reason your name was in the news last week was this mailer from State Senator, Union City Mayor Brian Stack. Of course, we got that hot race in the 33rd Legislative District, and he made an interesting appeal, right? He reached out to registered Republicans and said, could you register as a Democrat for this primary, and if you want to switch back, I'll help you switch back. Of course, I'm paraphrasing, and you had some pretty strong words. So why did you feel like you wanted to share that, make that note, and kind of put your, your flagpole in the sand to tell people where you stood?
Well, I think it's kind of a reflection of the times. Election integrity is something that's a very big national strong point for the GOP, and any appearance of impropriety will obviously throw up red flags. Now, this goes without saying, Brian Stack, as a mayor and state senator, consistently delivers for his constituents. Union City is well run, it's safe and clean, so we have no issues with the way that Stack runs his operations. But that being said, when he invokes the Republican name in a way to flip votes for a Democratic primary, there has to be a response. At the end of the day, we appreciate that he recognizes the growing Republican presence, especially in his District 33, where congressional candidate Valdez and President Trump got well over 40% of the vote. But that being said, if he is so sure that his candidates are the best to represent the district, he shouldn't be crossing party lines to try to get a close primary vote from Republicans to Democrats. At the end of the day, while completely legal and perfectly okay within the rules, it does beg the question, is this really necessary, and is this really the way you want your candidates to win? We have two great candidates running in District 33, the aforementioned Anthony Valdez and Cindy DePease. So the Republicans already have two great options to vote for in their primary, so why would they switch and switch back? That kind of defeats the purpose of a close primary. And at the end of the day, is that really how, if they win, they want to be known for winning?
Just one thing that I've heard in the background, let's just say, since the story started to come out, including the one of myself that we spoke on, is that Stack apparently has done this a number of years. I couldn't put an exact number on it, but this isn't the first time, I think I could safely say. So you mentioned it's a sign of the times, but apparently, according to people familiar with the situation, he's done this over and over and over. So any thoughts on that?
Right, well, this time was so brazen and open, sending a mailer, kind of welcoming it. No, people do what they do in terms of politics. Tactics are tactics for a reason, but at the same time, being so open and forthright about it, I think just casts a dark shadow on the election process itself. And, in prior years, it was sure through the rumor mill, Brian Stack switching votes, being so open about it, I think just begs the question, why do you think now is the time to do this, especially in a very reactionary environment with the national GOP and the local Democratic parties, right? We all laud bipartisanship, right? Working together on bills for the common good. But this doesn't seem to be that. If anything, it seems to be more of a kind of a loophole in the way the processes work, and there's going to be a reaction. Obviously, the Republicans are upset in the sense that they don't want to be used by Democrat establishment, and of course, the Democrats themselves. There's been an outcry on the more left progressive side, asking why is Brian Stack doing this. So I empathize with him. Tactically, it's sound, but the optics aren't great, and now he's between a rock and a hard place. The Republicans are upset, obviously, and now he has to deal with the Democratic Socialists of America.
Fair enough. Now, certainly I want to give you a chance to talk about your candidates in the primary, but first, this is all a byproduct of the HCDO Civil War. Of course, you have Craig Guy, Brian Stack leading on one side, and on the other side you have Jersey City Mayor Stephen Fulop, and you have North Bergen Mayor Nick Sacco. So, as you guys get to watch with a front row seat with your popcorn, I mean, what are you thinking about the dynamics and the reactions this is causing?
Well, I don't put any blame on the personalities involved specifically. I think this is endemic to the Democrat Party nationally right now. After President Trump's big win, winning every swing state, the popular vote, we can see that the coalitions that the Democrats have had have fractured. So sure, Mayor Sacco, Mayor Stack, Mayor Fulop, they don't see eye to eye on local issues, but I think this is more representative of the fact that different ideologies within the former Big Tent of the Democratic Party, the progressive wing, the old guard, more corporate Democrats versus more socialist types, they're all now trying to consolidate and see what is the new vision and philosophy of the Democratic Party going forward. While the Republicans, on their hand, for the most part, have all accepted, America First populism as the guiding light, and that's clearly been seen since the only two Republican presidents who won since Bush, well, it's been Trump twice. So that goes without saying. I feel that we're more unified ideologically, while the Democrats have a little soul searching to do as to who ends up winning in that ideological battle of wits.
All right, well said. I mean, I think, but I guess you'd have to acknowledge this is a bit of a power struggle too. It's about the governor's race and the sheriff and the assembly seats. I think it's about, who's going to be the king of the castle to some extent, maybe not exclusively, but that plays into it.
Well, that
right?
goes with the territory, right? At the end of the day, whoever ideology comes out on top, whoever has most people supporting them, will essentially be the one who gets to, guide the future of the Hudson County Democratic Organization. And we even saw that play out with the governor's race, like you said. From what I understand, we were expecting the HCDO to support Gottheimer, and yet now they're with Sherrill. And at one point, even Fulop was in the mix. So you can see the ebb and flow is very clear. And at the same time, I don't think they as an organization even know how that's going to end up happening. So, as the Republicans, it's not our place to throw stones. We'll watch that play out. And, when we can cooperate and can have some bipartisan support, we'll work with whoever. But at the same time, let them sort out their own house.
Fair enough. Pavel, don't go anywhere. Folks, don't go anywhere either. We're just going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, Jersey City. Hudson County's only monument maker, serving all faiths and cemeteries. Design, studio, and large inventory on site. Cemetery inscriptions and custom orders welcome. Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, just south of Secaucus Road. Craftsmanship that will last for all eternity. Burns Brothers, Jersey City, Albert H. Hopper, North Arlington. Visit us on the net.
Hudson County View live at Uncut. Our Heinis, and I'm still here with Hudson County GOP Executive Director Pavel Sokolov. So let's talk a little about the Gov race. Of course, actually, let's go with this. The FDU most recent poll of the race, you have U.S. Rep. Mikey Sherrill, Steve Fulop, of course, the Jersey City mayor, then Ross Baraka, of course, the Newark mayor. They were basically all the top contenders, if you will, of this six-person field. How do you think this plays out on that side?
Well, I think it's an interesting dynamic. There's a north versus south aspect. As you know, Steve Sweeney has won several county conventions. The Norcross family is back in play. So if he's able to consolidate the south, he might have a chance. While on the flip side, in the north, Mikey Sherrill has a great name recognition, a great story, and is definitely the one to beat in November. But at the same time, Ross Baraka, also from Essex County, Gottheimer, Fulop, all North Jersey candidates. If they're able to cannibalize each other, Sweeney might have a path. But at the same time, if no front runner emerges and the leading candidate wins with 30% of the vote, that might be hard to galvanize Democrats to support their candidate in the November election.
So would you say it's too close to call at this moment?
I think it's a toss-up between, in my opinion, Sherrill, Baraka, and Sweeney.
Interesting. So you rule it out Fulop completely?
While I think Mayor Fulop enjoys support from the progressive wing, I think Ross Baraka's message is also resonating them clearly. And between the name recognition of being a successful Newark mayor and his message reaching to the people, I think Fulop has a tough battle ahead of him.
Okay. And then on the red side of things, of course, most people see this coming down to Jack Ciattarelli against Bill Spadia. And also at the FDU poll, well, a separate poll, but also from FDU, they had Jack ahead by, I think, something in the neighborhood of 30 points. I mean, do you think there's any way Spadia could pull this out or no?
No, I think this is Jack's year to win. I think the national momentum has shifted. The Republicans are on the rise. The Democrat lead in New Jersey was cut from 1 million 4 years ago to roughly 800,000, which is well greater than the margin that Jack lost by 4 years ago. I think Bill has a great message, and he's able to galvanize people and supporters to really take pride in the fact that the Republicans and their conservative values are being represented. But I think Jack specifically just has years of experience, a platform, and is one of the few candidates that when he gets to Trenton on day one will be able to be an effective administrator. And I hope Republicans realize that we have a winning candidate, and we all should band together and make sure that a Republican is elected in this November.
A lot of people have said, and of course just pundits, ranging from pundits to just people talking online, but a lot of people have said that if it's Sherrill versus Chitterelli has no shot. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, everyone is entitled to their own opinion. Ideally, if you're a Democrat, you'll be supporting the Democrat nominee, or Republican, the Republican nominee. And of course, you're never going to say, oh, well, our person has no shot, so why bother? But, President Trump, he only lost New Jersey by what, 6 points, something like that?
About 6.
Jack lost it by 2.5. Sure, I mean, Sherrill's a strong candidate, but at the end of the day, what happened with the Hispanic population, they completely abandoned the Democrat Party. The South Asian population, African-American males, the Gen Z youth male vote. At this point in time, I think that the Republicans are the Big Tent coalition, and now it's just going to be a turnout game.
So as far as the Hudson GOP goes, you mentioned your 2 assembly candidates and 33 are also running a full slate, 6 assembly candidates and a sheriff candidate. Do you really think that they have a shot to win in any specific district or race?
So I never take this defeatist attitude, right? Specifically, District 33, we've seen President Trump, we've seen Anthony Valdez last year surge in the polls, doing 20-something points better than they ever have before. So that's just the sign of the times. The demographics are changing, the voter patterns are changing. Even in Hoboken, which traditionally President Trump has barely managed to crack 20%, did well over 35 points. Kearney in 31 went red. President Trump outright won the town. Bayonne was almost 50%, a couple points here and there. So again, the whole philosophy is this. A vote is a vote is a vote, no matter if it comes from the bluest or reddest area this November. So every vote counts, and the only way you get those votes is if you run quality, competent candidates in every single district, and then give them the resources they need to succeed. But honestly, Florida was a swing state at one point, right? And now it's a Republican stronghold. I think what we can accomplish in, North Bergen, Secaucus, West New York, and 33 can be replicated all through Hudson County. And again, times are changing. More and more younger individuals are moving into Hoboken, Jersey City, who are taking their long-held conservative values with them. So I think as long as we're here letting people know that there's an organization advocating for them and their interests, we'll get more and more people coming in, joining our committee, joining the clubs, and then getting involved in the political process.
Just real quick, on Jersey City, Hoboken, nonpartisan, November 4th. Obviously, you said in Hoboken, Trump did better than he previously did, but still pretty strong Democratic municipalities, cities there. So a lot of the candidates are completely disavowing the Republican Party. So, where do you think their role is there, if any?
Right, and that's, I think, to their detriment, right? Even Dawn Zimmer, Hoboken's former mayor, recognized that she needed a strong Republican contingent to support her in that nonpartisan race. At the end of the day, we make up a third of the vote, and a lot of our issues that we focus on at the local level, safety, quality of life, low taxes, is something that everyone can get behind regardless of their affiliation. And I don't understand why people would want to just leave all those votes on the table. We're not going to be endorsing candidates solely if they're Republican, or if not, we're going to be endorsing candidates based on how their message and their campaign aligns with what we want to see accomplished in our towns where we live.
Pavel, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Very welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in. We got one more segment left. We'll be right back.
Newport, the luxury waterfront community on the Hudson River, offers a quality of life you deserve in one of our many high-rise towers. With amenities such as the on-site Newport Path, light rail, Newport Town Square, 3 playgrounds, dog run, upscale restaurants, retail giants like Kohl's, JCPenney, Macy's, and Target. Morton Williams and Acme Supermarket are just outside your front door. A health and fitness center, skating rink, and medical facilities are also on site. Enjoy the New York skyline from our waterfront and various parks. Manhattan is just one pass stop away, or a quick ride through the Holland Tunnel. Nursery and private elementary schools all on site. 12-screen movie theater at the Newport Center Mall. Looking to visit? Stay at the Westin or Marriott Hotel. For more information, visit us at newportnj.com. Make lasting memories to cherish forever. It's incredible. It's you, Newport. Live like you want.
Hudson County View live and uncut. Chad, our Heinis. So this Hoboken Garage B stuff, I told you we had a couple of reactions from some mayoral candidates. So the first was from Tiffany Fisher. She wrote a letter to the editor, and she said that the proposed Garage B redevelopment, which the City Council is set to vote on this Wednesday, is an example of what happens when today's politics outweighs planning for our city's future. And she gives a few examples, but basically she calls this a rushed, piecemeal approach, said it's not a comprehensive redevelopment, it doesn't add up financially, the city doesn't control the air rights, it ignores bigger needs and disregards our community's parking needs, and continues to say it's too big for the neighborhood at 25 plus stories, and it's poor urban planning. So an interesting take. She was one of three who voted no on first reading on March 3rd. Joining her in voting no was Council President Jim Doyle and First Ward Councilman Paul Presenzano. So heading into this, actually heading into last night, we weren't really sure how this second reading was going to play out, but then we heard from another mayoral candidate, Fourth Ward Councilman Ruben Ramos, and he was extremely clear that he'll be voting yes on a second time, so it seems pretty unlikely this is going to get voted down, but let me just give you his thoughts. So he says, Hoboken has a housing affordability crisis, and we need to do much more to increase the supply of affordable and workforce housing, or else the middle class will continue to get pushed out of our community. That's why I'm so disappointed to see the planning board vote against the Garage B redevelopment plan, which would add much needed housing near public transit that would be reserved for working class residents. Remember, this is right by the Hoboken terminal. And he continued that it's been decades since Hoboken has taken bold action to build more affordable housing, and that has to change now, which is why I will support the Garage B plan when it is voted on at this week's City Council meeting. Don't forget, last week at Mayor Ravi Bala's final State of the City address, he touted the Ward B plan pretty proudly, so it would obviously be a black eye here if it got voted down, but doesn't look like that's where we're heading. But nonetheless, it's not official until it's in the books, and this Hoboken City Council meeting, as usual, is tonight, 7 p.m., City Hall, 94 Washington Street, and that'll stream live on their YouTube page. So there's a lot more, but gonna have to pick and choose. Here's an interesting one out of the 32nd Legislative District. One candidate that's been pretty vocal against the President Donald Trump administration is Katie Brennan. And she just came out really hard against the president a couple days ago. And, well, this sums it up. Donald Trump spent the entire weekend breaking the law and ignoring the Constitution. We should all be alarmed by how our system of checks and balances is failing, because each illegal act that goes unchallenged moves us further from democracy and closer to a dictatorship. So can't be much more direct than that. She was referencing Trump signing an executive order eliminating the U.S. Interagency Council on Homelessness on Friday, invoking the 1798 Alien Enemies Act to bypass certain immigration laws on Saturday, then halting the deportation of more than 130 people under the 18th Century Act before finally calling President Joe Biden's pardons void, and those were both on Sunday. So an interesting development. And then we also heard from Ward E Councilman James Solomon when he announced that former Council President Rolando Lavarro is going to be rounding out his at-large ticket. So there we have Rolando Lavarro, Bob DeSig, and Michael Griffin. So that's an interesting ticket, and a lot of people weren't expecting now former Council President Rolando Lavarro to be running in this cycle, but clearly he is. So that's going to be fun. They were colleagues on the council from 2018 through 2021. And we also saw a housing plan from James Solomon. So just very quickly, he's calling for no more pay-to-play schemes, as well as a 20% affordable units and new projects as part of that plan. But we're basically out of time. The only other thing I wanted to quickly mention is Council President Joyce Waterman, another candidate for Jersey City Mayor, announced that Reverend Tammy Weaver Henry, who is the Jersey City Police Department's West District Champlain and also the chair of the Jersey City Women's Advisory Board, will be running at large for her, and that rounds out her 3 citywide candidates. She's also with Dave Carment, and as well as, just let me look this up real quickly, I apologize, and that's Kenny Reyes also on the ticket. So with that, folks, we're going to call it a week. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time.